Chapter 16. Prana, the Forgotten One. I felt my breath as I perched on the limb of the highest tree overlooking the cove. I noticed it was shallow, short, and erratic, erupting from my chest. It was reflecting the unease that was flowing back and forth within me like the tide of the ocean. I knew that to stop it, all I had to do was lengthen my exhale, slow down my heartbeat, and pull my mind back into the present. But instead, I sat in my unease without attachment and observed what it was telling me. Humans spend an inordinate amount of time running away from pain, burying it in places to one day come back to haunt them at a higher volume. Our pain is constantly highlighting our attachments and guiding us to learn the lesson that comes with every sorrow. Little do humans understand that pain comes for a reason: to cleanse, to teach, to give rise to awareness, and to heal. To be human is to endure and experience suffering. It is the way their form is set up. I knew the human was struggling and my heart bled for him. As we entered the last part of the love story between the self and the universe, I know that much would rise to the surface for him. And when it did, I knew all too well that there was a chance he would shut himself down and walk away from me in the cove. My unease was telling me that we would need to tread slowly and gently here and to be supportive, no matter what came to the surface. My unease was also telling me to let go of my attachment to him. It had happened so slowly and unconsciously that I had not been aware of it. As I flapped my wings with all my strength, I gave space and avenue for my feelings to move out of me instead of burying them into my bones and my feathers. I landed on a large rock that was elevated on one end and flattened into a natural seat on the other. From there, I watched Corey walk down the path toward me. His wide chest and solid legs strode forward with purpose, as if he were on his way to conquer the world. When he saw me, his face expanded as a smile pushed itself outwards. "Eagle, what a pleasant surprise. It has been a long time since you and me met at this place where we become one." "Hello, Corey." "Yes, it has. We and the rest of nature are not used to speaking so much. It is an energy drainer. So I find my naps have gotten a little longer." "Naps? I can't remember the last time I had a nap. I think I was 3. Though after the restorative story, I've started engaging in some poses every evening instead of comatosing myself with TV. Now, to what do I owe this pleasure? Here, come sit beside me." "Ah, the sitting beside you action. Should I be scared?" "No, not at all. We are moving into energy and breath and then into meditation. All the tools to heal, to help you move to self-love and to reconnect you with your true self. But to create any lasting shift in you, to give rise to change, there must be 4 things in place. The first is awareness of the conditioned self and all that it is giving rise to in you. The second is acceptance of all that you witness. The third is to let go of all that does not serve you well. And the fourth is to surrender to the universe that exists within you and trust that it will guide you in the right direction. Today, we will continue to lay the foundation for the above to happen as we move into prana and breath. When you return to your human heavy world, we ask that you begin to do the following. Begin every day with sitting in silence for 15 minutes. While following your breath, begin to be aware of the habitual thoughts your mind keeps ruminating on. Make note of your mental habits and then come back to your breath. Try and listen to what appears before you in the silence between each breath. Then, as you move through each day, start to practice your yamas and niyamas. To do so, you will have to be aware of all your thoughts, actions, and behaviors when you are on your own and when you interact with others. Because to practice them, to know that you are following them, you must be aware of your mind. Take a note of where you falter, where you struggle to adhere to them, and ask yourself why. Every answer must come from a place of truth. To access your truth, you must shed any judgments of yourself, disengage from fear, and accept what you hear. Do not worry. As we have already told you, in the beginning, you will fail at mastering the yamas and niyamas. But through the process of sticking with them, it will become easier and easier as you cleanse the mind. The beginning will be a battle. The mind will always seek to find ways to justify and make an excuse for an exception to a yama or niyama. But trust us. To enact lasting change, you must follow them. And when you fail to do so, you must seek the answers within as to why you failed. For these are your guides to knowing you. This journey we are asking you to embark on requires you to dedicate time to you, to move from a reactive state to a responsive state. Change takes time and effort. Corey, you will have to make the time every day to sit in silence and do nothing but observe and listen. It is time for you to get off the fence, to choose a side, either the involution toward your true self or to remain in the comfort of the victim. You must seek help when you are unsure, to not interpret knowledge in a way that suits you or justifies actions that are not good for you or all living beings. You know, Corey, knowledge is very dangerous in the hands of those who do not fully understand it. We animals sometimes speak of how the printing press of ancient scriptures was what has given rise to so many wars around religion. Because any man who can read can now correct knowledge and disperse it incorrectly to the masses. You know, there was a reason knowledge was given orally and transferred only to those who were ready for it. I looked over at Corey and in silence he nodded. I will try my best. I may have to quit my job to find the time for me and throw my TV and phone out the window, but I will find the time. But before we go, I wanted to ask you about psychedelics. In my world, there's a lot of talk these days about the benefits of them in enacting healing and removing the ego. Ah, yes. I shall not say much about this, except that there is great value in them for those seeking to move through trauma and know that there exists something larger than all of us. It is a tool used by medicine men and spiritual thinkers to connect and gain knowledge. They are powerful in forcing you to acknowledge the small ego in you that keeps you attached to everything outside of you. But true change takes work. The eradication of fear, the ability to change your reality, the courage to shed your life of materialism, all takes work. Psychedelics are not a fast fix or to be taken constantly. They are incredible tools to bring about awareness of the universe and to flame the fuel of tapas, self-knowledge. Over time, this has eroded humans' belief and awareness there is something larger than all of you. As humans have become more disillusioned by religion, they have turned to capitalism, power, and money as their belief system. As a result, your species has crumbled because as far as they are concerned, this is it. They live in their desires and do everything in excess and suffer. Your world increasingly looks like constant chaos, with nearly 8 billion people living in their desires. There is an enormous need for yoga in your human world, and we ask nothing of you but to take the time, do the work, and let the rest fall into place. Come, let us wander to the cove. I flew onto Corey's shoulder and we began the walk. The silence between us was beautiful and had grown as the distance between us had diminished. When we arrived at the cove, we found all of nature in a restorative pose. We could feel the healing and at the same time the rejuvenation of life all around us. Warm rain began to fall from sky, giving birth to new life and sustaining existing life. With each step, Corey felt earth sing below his bare feet and the trees sway as they feasted on the gift that enveloped them. Water. How humans in the West took it for granted. They believed that water, like everything else, including breath, was infinite. All the beings rolled into an upright position as we entered the cove, and in one large namaste they greeted us, smiling through the gentle patter of rain. I placed Corey under the protection of a tree, and I flew over ocean to take a moment to immerse myself in the joy that was being played out below me. The marine world sang, jumped, flipped, and dove, each one grateful for their world and all that inhabited it. As I landed back on the tree, the rain stopped and a rainbow appeared. It was a magnificent piece of art that refracted all the frequencies of the universe's white light, as a reminder that at the root of all diversity there is unity. We all came from the same place, and although our journeys are different, we all seek the same destination. Namaste, nature. It is good to see all of you washed clean of your impurities and glistening as if reborn. Today we will begin the journey into breath and prana. You know, that thing humans don't really pay attention to? Humans are such a funny species. They keep seeking ways to cheat death, but the one thing that determines whether they live or die in their form, they ignore: breath. I have asked one of the whales to tell this story today because they have breath that is similar to humans. As I ended my last words, I heard Whale break through the surface and begin a slow swim across the cove. We all watched as she stretched in leaps and bounds, her young beside her, until finally she settled into a slow glide. We in turn settled into ourselves, turned the volume of our minds down, and connected to her frequency. Hello, beings. We have listened much and spoken little, absorbing all the knowledge being shared here. Just as we have listened from our soul, it is from our soul that I shall speak today. We have spoken much about stilling the mind. However, there is another path within you to calm the mind, and that path is through your breath. When your breath is calm and constant, your mind is more peaceful, and the observation becomes easier. As you can imagine, it is so much harder to move to a place of self-awareness and observation if your breath is in the middle of a bullfight. In yoga, breath is the vehicle that carries prana throughout your body and the conduit between your mind and body. Prana is energy that pervades your entire being and is present everywhere in nature. However, humans struggle to absorb it from nature due to the resistance in your breath from incorrect breathing techniques. Humans, like the rest of us, absorb prana from all the energetic elements within which all life exists. For example, Earth's energy can be absorbed through eating fresh fruits and veggies and walking bare feet on Earth, and by just being in nature. To absorb energy from the water element, drink plenty of pure water devoid of chemicals. To gain prana from fire, visit sun, drink warm water, and eat warm foods cooked over a flame. However, the main source of prana for humans is breathing. The inhalation of fresh air, airing out the rooms you live in and work in, and staying away from polluted environments. Lastly, there is the ether element, which is associated with thoughts. By chanting mantras, keeping positive company, and being in a healthy atmosphere, you can increase your prana through the thinking and listening of positive thoughts. As you are starting to see, Corey, prana is an actor, not a thinker, and is much more than your respiratory process. The process of inhalation, exhalation, and retention are merely indicators that prana is alive and working within you. You can't see prana or touch it, but for sure you can feel it. It's like a chicken and egg. It is the prana in you that takes in air and expels it from you, and it is that process of inhalation and exhalation that indicates that you have prana. One does not exist without the other. Pranayama is the process through which you can control your breath and by extension your energy. It controls how much you absorb and its distribution into the 5 areas in the human body known as vayus. If you can learn to control these 5 vayus through various pranayamas, your human form will be devoid of ailments and disease. Each vayu contributes to balancing you mentally as well as physically by keeping you in a sattvic state. When you are in a rajasic or tamasic state, you will struggle to absorb prana. However, before I explain the 5 vayus, allow me to give you a better understanding of the 3 states we keep referring to, known collectively as gunas. Humans are always moving between these 3 states, known as gunas. The first is sattva, your purest state where you act out of knowledge, sit in contentment, joy, positivity, and gratitude. In this state, you are liberated from violence, fear, and malice. The second is rajasic, where you are in a state of action and movement which manifests in attachment and longing for the satisfaction of your desires. The last is tamas. In this state, you're enveloped by darkness, negativity, anger, jealousy, and all the other destructive emotions. Gunas are present in everything, even in food. There are foods that make you lazy, foods that make you feel good, and foods that incite anger. Now, back to the 5 vayus in prana. The fundamental essence of prana is activity, rajasic. It is prana that drives all your systems, so it can never really take a nap. If it does, then rest assured you are dead. Did you know that death is actually the process of prana leaving your body? Because you will remember, prana is energy upon which your consciousness rides. When you are alive, prana uses breath as the vehicle to move it around the body. When the breath is calmed and controlled, prana is able to move freely around your body. Therefore, pranayama are breathing techniques to keep the vehicle of breath in shape and well maintained. Just imagine how many areas of your body are devoid of energy when your breath is shallow and scattered. When prana enters the body and the breath is flowing freely, it splits into 5 vayus, known as panchaprana. Each vayu is responsible for taking care of certain operations in the body. The first is prana, the inhale, whose job it is to obtain energy from the 5 elements external to the body and absorb it into the body. The location of this system is in the chest below the neck, so the thoracic and diaphragmatic area. It is predominantly responsible for the respiratory and cardiovascular systems, your heart, lung, breathing, swallowing, blood circulation, and its energy systems move upward. On an emotional level, it is responsible for your emotions absorbing information and controlling the mind. Most chest or respiratory diseases can be healed by prana, vayu. Ailments that highlight an imbalance in this vayu are colds, flus, bronchitis, and the deorientation of the mind. Pranayamas with strong inhales keep you mentally strong and emotionally stable. To aid this system, there are also such yoga asanas as chest openers, back bends, warrior 3, and lunges. Upon death, the leaving of prana is seen by the stopping of the heart and the loss of the energetic pranic shield, which yogis say extends 12 inches from the body. Ever notice how when you are strong and healthy, your energy extends outside of you? But when you are weak, your whole outer self seems to shrink? You can immediately sense if someone is sick or well when you first meet them without even asking them. You feel it in the energy that surrounds them or lack thereof. The second vayu is samana vayu, which is located between the diaphragm and the navel. Its energy moves in a circular motion, and prana in this system generates heat. So when you die, it is the leaving of this energy system from your form that creates coldness in the corpse. When this system is balanced, it ensures efficient absorption of energy from food and sustains your essence. On a mental and emotional level, it helps you absorb the learning in every experience you have while letting go of the actual impression. For example, if you experience something negative, a healthy samana vayu helps you learn from that experience, but not hold on to the experience. This ensures that the negative impressions created by the experience do not have the power to influence you in the future. You know you are holding on to a negative impression when you experience bloating, indigestion, and the constant regurgitation of your experiences. When it is in balance, you feel healthy all the way down to your cellular level. Asanas that assist samana are twists, core work, and forward-folded bends. The types of breath that support this system are Nauli gut cleansing, and Kapalbhati pranayamas. Then there is apana, the exhaled breath, located below the navel, embracing the reproductive and excretory systems. Its energetic movement is downward. Apana is responsible for removing waste and toxins from a human in a number of ways, which include pee, feces, and periods. Therefore, when it is underactive, it creates constipation, light periods, and spotting, and when it is overactive, it creates diarrhea and heavy periods. Unbalanced apana can also lead to reproductive problems. On a mental level, Apana removes unwanted thoughts and negativity. Some asanas that support a healthy Apana are lower ab work, happy baby, child's pose, seated twist, and halasana. As for the breath, the best one is Nauli breath with engaging the bandhas. The fourth vayu is Vyana, which circulates around the entire human form. It distributes the energy from samana and prana to the entire circulatory system and influences muscle and joint movements. Its energy flows in an outward circular motion, and when in balance, you feel lazy on a mental as well as a physical level. You are more prone to arthritis, joint, and skeletal problems. However, when in balance, energy flows freely through the body and the mind without resistance. Your body and mind feel lighter as you find you can express yourself more openly. When you die, this energy system takes the longest to leave. It is the process of the body rotting, which is why in some cultures the body is cremated. To allow a body to rot slowly results in all your energy being released over a longer period of time. There is a belief in cultures that cremate that the soul is not completely released until all the energy, which is also present in every cell, is set free. The last vayu is Udana, located in the neck and upward. Its energy flows upward, and this system is deeply connected to reasoning, intuition, the neurological system, and analysis. Some call this system the CEO of the body, and it is through this system that humans move to higher states of consciousness. When it is in balance, it manifests as depression, loss of cognitive skills, migraines, thyroid issues, and nervous system disorders. When it is balanced through breath, meditation, and concentration, a human has strong communication skills, thinks clearer, has more awareness, and can even levitate. When the body form dies, this system, which is responsible for buoyancy, sinks the body into heaviness. Asanas to aid this system are shoulder stand, fish, bridge, plow, and headstands, as well as honeybee and Alunoma Wilomoma breath, also known as alternate nostril breath. To practice the limbs of yoga, there are asanas, singular focus, and meditation. Prana needs to flow smoothly and gently through all these systems. For this to happen, you need to be in a sattvic state, and we are back to the chicken and egg, because to get into a sattvic state, your energy must be flowing smoothly, and for your energy to flow smoothly, you must be in a sattvic state. But fear not. There is a starting point for the uninterrupted flow of energy, which we shall get into in our next lesson. I think it is enough for today. Don't you think so, Eagle? I completely agree. Come, Corey, let me walk you out today. We both turned to Whale and bowed deeply. Whale, thank you for your time and knowledge today. You are a master orator. Whale bowed back and showed her pleasure for creating a fountain from her blowhole. We laughed out loud as the warm water washed over us, and then she disappeared into the belly of ocean. Corey jumped to his feet, pleased to have my company on the way in and out. He turned to the cove and ocean, bent forward in reverence, and offered his gratitude to each and every one of those whose energy lifted and sustained him. We walked in silence. Well, he walked and I sat on his shoulder, enjoying the tranquility that had grown between us. I love you. Corey stopped and turned to me. I fell off his shoulder and froze as he kept walking. I had waited long and patiently to hear those words from him, and said without resistance and hesitancy. I never doubted that they would arrive, for I knew the power of loving someone completely, just the way they were. As he turned around to pick me up, he lifted me onto his arm and continued. I have felt this opening in me, and from it swells this love that I have never experienced before. I have been practicing visualization meditation and changing my neural highways by sitting in the future I seek. And you were right. Sometimes when I'm moving through my day, I am overcome by feelings of joy and happiness, the source of which is myself, because that happiness is attached to nothing. When that love spreads across my being, all I want to do is share it with others, more specifically, with you. I was speechless. A human in love with an eagle? Wonders never cease to appear in this world. I watched his blush spread and knew it had taken an enormous amount of courage for him to speak openly about his feelings. I love you as well. And I know it is not that romantic love humans keep playing with, the foundation of which lies in desires. It is something more pure and beautiful. It is okay to love me, Corey, to surrender to what you are feeling. That love will not hurt you because a love like that holds no fear, lives in the moment and comes from you. But more importantly, it will always attract a love and a frequency that matches yours. We stopped at the point where his world separated from me, and for a moment we stood there, me on a rock, him on his feet, and just watched the other. We were observing how day by day our forms were dissolving, and what filled that void was a beautiful dance between our energies.